You see, you need someone actually comfortable to work with. Example, when you have been working with the same lighting directors, set designers, and so on, even before I finish the sentence, they know what is the problem.
Assalamualaikum semua, selamat datang ke podcast Diari Ayah. Anda boleh mendengar podcast ini di Spotify dan juga Apple Podcast. Podcast Diari Ayah ni juga kita keudarakan di YouTube dan juga Suhaimi Official Page di Facebook. Hari ini saya bersama dengan seorang legend. Sudah 40 tahun beliau berada dalam bidang penyiaran. Dan saya melihat beliau beraksi dalam penerbitan-penerbitan yang yang kira macam dalam bidang televisyen kira blockbuster. Okey, blockbuster. Dan beliau sudah menerbitkan berbagai rancangan yang kita semua kenal. Saya membesar dengan Aksi Mat Yoyo misalnya, dan beliau juga menerbitkan rancangan-rancangan seperti Anak Metropolitan, Bunga Tanjung, Sinaran Suria, Simfoni Layar Perak. Saya banyak list kat sini. Saya rasa pasal dia 40 tahun jadi tak cukup saya punya list di sini. Dan baru-baru ini beliau memenangi Anugerah Sepanjang Hayat, iaitu Anugerah Perdana Emas. Orang yang saya maksudkan adalah Encik Suhaimi Jais. Selamat datang Encik Suhaimi.
Okay, terima kasih Jimmy.
Terima kasih kerana sudi bersama saya ni. Saya macam gairah bertemu Encik Suhaimi kerana sebagai orang dalam penyiaran, kita kenal benar dengan kerja-kerja anda. Ya, karya anda ni macam terlalu banyak lah, dan anda dah melahirkan banyak anak-anak didikan, artis, para profesional. Cuma saya bila membaca kisah Cik Suhaimi, saya terperanjat you mula dari radio. So dan you mula sebagai freelancer. Yes. Mungkin dapat terangkan sikit macam mana you boleh dapat that gig tu.
Alhamdulillah. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I think it was way back in 1973, Suhaimi.
73, Masya Allah.
Yes, okay. And the first broadcaster that I've worked with was Salimah Samad, Madam Salimah Samad.
Madam Salimah.
Okay.
Saya kenal dia.
I wrote for her. I wrote all those criticism in poetry for Shakespeare, John Keats.
Itu dalam bahasa Inggeris, Melayu?
Dalam bahasa Melayu. Dalam bahasa Melayu. Okay. And frankly speaking, we don't have a lot of money at that time. I'm short of money, so I think, hey, but we also have the creative flair. Okay, so I would call her, hey, you know, man, I need some money. Oh, this is the true facts. Okay,
okay.
But it was actually Madam Salimah Samad who more or less gave me the impetus to move me into television. But Salimah was basically a broadcaster, is in for radios. Okay, I moved into television because of certain other reasons. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Tapi saya juga mendengar anda keluar negara untuk dapat meneruskan pembelajaran dalam broadcasting ni.
Yeah. Alhamdulillah. I joined the then RTS, Radio Television Singapore, in 1975. 14 October 1975. I still remember the date. Okay. Just graduated from University of Singapore, and I have to wait actually 6 months. I have to wait 6 months for the job.
Kenapa?
Okay?
Kenapa kena tunggu tu?
Because somebody has a job.
Orang tu nak kena berhenti dulu baru dia boleh masuk.
And her name is Madam Hatijah Sahil.
Oh, okay. Oh, macam itu
Yes. And those were the days.
Tapi penantiannya tak lama, 6 bulan aja.
Okay, it was like 6 years.
6 years.
Okay, because I wanted the job, the television job, very badly. Okay, because I've read a lot about broadcast and so on. It's a new media. We gained our independence in 1965. So, and the year 75, it was just 10 years of television. Okay. Yeah. Then I was offered basically a diploma course in TV Netherlands in 1979. Okay, to study both aspects of production management as well as creative production. But the breakthrough was in 1987 when I was in Albuquerque, New Mexico, okay, to study basically the background and working of Miss USA. This is before we produced a Miss Universe in Singapore in 1987. I was in the USA in 1986, by the way, not 1987, because we produced Miss Universe Singapore, Miss Universe in 1987. Yeah.
The Miss Universe in Singapore tu saya rasa itu satu penerbitan yang is an international. So bila you dapat peluang macam tu, how did it turn out bagi you? Bagaimana, apa yang anda rasa okay, ini adalah satu pencapaian yang besar sekali?
I call it a game changer for lack of better words, because when I was in RTS in 1975 up to 1986, there were not much changes. It's only when I was exposed to the production experience, basically the thinking, the system and so on in USA. I came back in 1987 and I did a massive change in some of the way we conceptualize program and we do our productions. Yeah.
How was that dulu? Saya because saya masuk television sebagai host 1996. 1996 tu host saja. Tapi saya tak terbitkan. Saya cuma menerbitkan rancangan mungkin 99 dan seterusnya lah. So dulu when in your time, saya dapati anda menukil Cik Bani Buang, Cik Mokram Kasim. Those were the times when you had your training, you mengeluarkan and menghasilkan rancangan, and I notice rancangan dulu dia ada following. Dia ada following. You know, what's the secret bila you conceptualizekan satu rancangan tu?
I must say that I was very grateful, and I'm very grateful for those people who more or less have helped me along the way in my career. And the early days was basically Cik Bani Buang and Cik Mokram Kasim. You know what I mean? One basically for drama and the one for entertainment. You look at them, you studied them, okay, and basically you make it your own. All right, okay. And there's something very good about these people. They are very helpful. They don't want anything in return and so on. And I was lucky to work under them. There were also a whole lot of other people along the way and so on that I've learned, basically from the BBC, from NHK, from the Netherlands, from the US and so on. I still keep in touch with them just to see where we are going on, because with internet and digitalization, the old model and so on may be relevant, but we are basically into very fast mode for the modern day televisions and also motion pictures.
What did apa yang Cik Bani Buang dan juga Mokram Kasim yang menurunkan ilmu mereka kepada anda? Apa yang anda ingat sampai sekarang?
It's quite a funny thing. I remember this thing. I mean, I came in Mediacorp, RTS during that time. I went in to report to Mr. Basirun Jumat, which was the executive producer of the Malay sections. And my designation was assistant producer. And the first question I asked, whom am I going to assist? And the answer was that you're not going to assist anybody, you're going to produce.
Straight away gitu
So, those were the old days. You are thrown into the deepest part of the pool. You either survive, but the rest is history, And for the first 6 months in RTS, I worked basically as a floor manager to learn the ropes of the trade, technically to understand what were the problems that you're going to face on the floor, and secondly, because in other ways also basically to understand the corporate values of the organization, what can be done, what cannot be done, and basically your responsibility as a producer director. You need to know that. Because some of these are not basically written, in black and white. You have to understand the culture.
Maknanya macam Because dari segi penerbitan televisyen kan, bagi mereka yang mungkin belum tahu tentang selok-beloknya, floor manager, assistant manager, ini adalah kerja-kerja yang saya rasa penting, tetapi mereka kerja-kerja di mana memerlukan tenaga, kreativiti dan sebagainya. Bila anda dapat peluang untuk menjadi full producer ataupun director, dan what was the show tu? Ingat tak lagi rancangan tu?
I still remember. It was producer Osman Muhammad Noor.
Oh, saya ingat.
Okay,
baik.
Arwah
Osman.
Okay, Fatihah untuk Cik Osman. Okay. It was a program called Timanika. It's a 15 minutes production of music. So I was
music show.
Music show, 15 minutes. I thought is a nice gesture in the sense that I learned from there. Okay. And it was about 13 episodes. Okay, I produced that. It was a rookie product. I wouldn't even want to see the product now. What you should not do to a program. Okay, but it was a good start. It was a good start.
Okay,
yes.
So you direct apa? You direct, you produce and direct?
Yes, I was the producer and director for Timanika.
I hope you can have the footage.
I hope so.
Wow, but music has been your thing juga kan?
Yeah.
You enjoy music kan?
Yes. Just to recap, the most important thing in any production is always start with the script. I always look at the script. I always look at the potential screenplay. Okay. And the music is basically to support the screenplay. All right. I will not do a project unless I'm convinced that honestly I believe in the script. Okay. And these are very, very rare commodities worldwide. Even the Hindis, the Malayalis, the Malayalam, the Telugu, and so on. It's a lack of script, good script, I'm saying, that is bothering now to the industry. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Encik Suhaimi, you dah terbitkan banyak yang saya lihat yang membawa kesan. Antaranya adalah misalnya Bunga Tanjung, dia memenangi pengiktirafan di festival televisyen di New York,
yes,
tahun 2017. Dan sebelum saya menerbitkan rancangan Hanyut, waktu itu sebagai docudrama, anda sudah menerbitkan Anak Metropolitan. Dan di situ juga saya melihat pelakon-pelakon yang hari ini mereka menjadi pelakon mapan lah. Jadi okay, apa yang tercetus bila anda dan rakan-rakan menerbitkan Anak Metropolitan itu yang jadi sebutan sampai hari ini?
You can look basically at the background of the community. There were problems, okay, of delinquencies, of drugs, etc., etc. Okay, and we thought basically, you see, sometimes you need to portray violence in order to prevent violence. But it is basically up to the responsibility of the broadcaster directors to know how to put it in perspective. We got Anak Metropolitan for 3 series, the span of 10 years. Okay, but we also have a lot of brickbats, a lot of criticisms. We have actually parents coming to us and say, why are you portraying this on television? But my answer, okay, was very simple. Okay, I need you to understand what is happening in the community. All right, this is what's happening. But I think it's up to you, folks, to basically sit in front of the television set, okay, and to educate your children. This cannot be done. Okay, it is not to portray violence as such, but I think we need to portray it in order for people to understand what it's all about in the programs. And you know, some of the criticism come from my daughter herself.
Oh, okay.
At that time, she was studying in
what did she say?
Marymount. It's funny. Okay, I still remember those occasions when I come back. Hey, Daddy, what you are portraying last night is an old gangster.
Oh, okay.
This is not a new gangster. the new gangster won't behave in this manner. So sometimes it takes someone younger in order to see what it's all about. Okay, I took that into perspective. So our subsequent script and so on, we are very careful in portraying the right things. Okay, I will later talk about reality and realism if we have the time and so on. That maybe will.
Boleh, insyaAllah we will talk about that.
Come into other parts of the interview. Yeah.
But because you got involved in so many big production. Okay. Bila seorang penerbit tu kita sebagai seorang penerbit tu, kita always nak kena fikir pasal budget. So when you get all these big project, what does that mean to you actually? Budget wise, you know.
Okay. We have basically the motivation and the spirit to do a big program, but at the same time, there are limitations, and the limitation has always about money. Okay, I've always spoken to my producers, my executive producer, and so on. The time when you have all the money, that is not television. Television is all about lack of money, but we have to do with it. Let's say if I have to produce a program, a production, a drama at 1 million, I only have 750,000 for that project. I couldn't do Cry Baby and say, no, I cannot do this. We look basically at the whole thing and see what are the most significant points that I need to have in the program, and which one I could delete, and so forth. And from there, you can decide. Okay. Script is one thing, okay. Budget is another thing. Let me put things slightly into perspective. Okay, a production, a drama can be produced with a budget of 1 million, 2 million, 5 million. All right, but with a different budget, you always have different results. Okay, a product which is a 5 million product and so on cannot be the same as 1 million.
Yeah.
So you have to understand basically the money you have and so on. And Alhamdulillah, with Bunga Tanjung, we have basically a reasonably good budget to produce a good show.
What was the budget? Tu saya nak tahu juga. Or can you reveal the budget?
You have to ask the organisation.
Bunga Tanjung besar tu dia punya production.
It was a 4-part miniseries, shot most of the parts in Perak. Okay, and we have basically the help of everybody, the police, the tourism board, the people, and so forth. Okay. I couldn't do it in Singapore because I think it would mean a massive budget increase, because it's very, very costly to produce it in Singapore.
I'm sure you banyak cabaran lah waktu membuat production yang macam gini. Saya teringat tentang especially bila kita buat production kat luar negeri.
Yes.
When I produce Peddlers of Asia waktu tu,
I saw the program.
Yes. So when we went to New Delhi, so I went to this flower street. Setiap street dia ada penghulu. Saya tak tahu tau. We are very young producers. Kita masuk, dia kata mesti ada duit. Kasih duit. Saya cakap okey lah, kasih duit. Lepas tu saya masuk tempat Peddler Street, ada penghulu lain, dia kena kasih duit. So every street saya nak kena kasih duit. What kind of challenges yang you go through when you do production? And that you have to resolve it macam on the spot.
You need basically a very good team to more or less anticipate all these problems. It's very different when you are producing in your own country, okay, and then when you produce in countries like India, Malaysia and Singapore, you have different problems and so on.
Different culture lagi.
Yes, but you have to understand the culture. When we produce Bunga Tanjung, one of the biggest problems is basically the site locations. Okay, it's basically to emulate the street scene in Singapore during the late 1950s and so on. Most of the streets here are being destroyed, high-rise building and so on. So we basically have to look at Perak and to turn it into a mini Singapore. The site on the newer, the Upper Serangoon roads, where Bunga Tanjung was situated. Okay, I think it's important also to look at the support that we have, and I'm very, very thankful to the Malaysian authority, the Malaysian tourism, the police, the firemen, and so on, who help us 100%, more than 100%, to make this program a success. Okay, we were there for 1 month. Okay, for the 4 episodes, and I'm glad that we don't have as much problem as other programs when we're producing Bunga Tanjung, and I think kudos to the Malaysian authorities. Yep.
Okay. You know, bila saya menonton your speech, your ucapan Pesta Perdana Emas, anda memberi ucapan selama dekat dengan 7 minit lah. Hari ni saya nak pecahkan ucapan anda.
I thought it was 3 minutes.
No, I saw the record is long. 6-7 minutes gitu. Mungkin dengan ucapan yang diorang tunjukkan tu. Tapi saya dapati ucapan ni menarik kerana you banyak mention nama-nama.
Yes.
Jadi saya nak pecahkan. I want to dissect your speech. Boleh?
Boleh.
Yang pertama sekali, dalam banyak-banyak artis, you mention Rafa'at Hamzah. So saya rasa itu satu penghormatan yang sangat tinggi lah yang diberikan kepada seseorang artis. Saya nak tahu kenapa anda dapatkan satu tukilan daripada dia. Mengapa Rafa'at Hamzah?
When I was given basically you are going to get this award. Okay, you have also, of course, quote all over the world, because I've worked with some of the best people in the industries, okay, but they're not local. Okay, I need a local representative who can basically color the spirits of the performance arts. I was looking around and so on, and I happened to meet Rafa'at Hamzah in one of the makan centers. Then I remember his what he wrote actually in his work and so on. So I told Rafa'at, hey, the next day, can you give me one of your quotes? Okay, I don't want an alternative quote, I just want quote that could represent the current artists and the current industries.
Wow.
And Rafa'at did just that, and I was very happy with it. Okay.
Yeah.
Then I think more or less Rafa'at represents the modern artists, the current artists, which has a very different viewpoints for the one that I saw in the 1970-80. I'm not denying that they're very good artists and so on, but because the advent of MTV, of internet and so on, have somehow changed the whole industry and changed the perspective of the way artists saw the performing arts, and especially motion picture and televisions. So I thought Rafa'at actually represents that bunch of people, which is basically the now people. Yeah.
Right. I think his batch memang banyak pelakon-pelakon mapan yang hari ni lah. I think his batch, so many of them have actually fill our TV screen kan. The other person you mentioned in your speech is in the music scene, which is Encik Iskandar. Yes. Tell us about your relationship dengan dia.
Okay, I'm lucky. I was lucky at that particular time to meet some of the best people in the industry, and Iskandar was one of them. Arwah, okay, Fatihah to him. Okay, the first one that I met when I joined television was Ahmad Jaafar.
Yes,
Ahmad Jaafar was my guru for basically Malay music. Okay. Then before I touch even Iskandar, I like to mention other people that more or less have influenced my thought on music. And of course, Mr. Zubair Said. Okay, I've not met him personally and so on, but his music actually influenced my thoughts. And the other one was, of course, Yusuf B. Okay, and the other one, of course, P. Ramlee. Okay, if you understand music, it's easy to follow. Okay, and I think that P. Ramlee's music, for example, is as much close to the Beatles, because it's easy to remember. I want to hold your hands. Okay, Hey Jude and so on. It's easy, and P. Ramlee too. Okay. Right. they understood the psyche of the Malay community. Okay. When you listen to such music and so on, you begin to associate with basically the culture, the psyche, the thinkings, and basically it's very Malay in that sense and so on. And true to form, I think P. Ramlee really more or less recognize this element in the Malay society. Okay. With Iskandar, it's very bright, very dynamic. Okay. When he came back from Berkeley, I had a chance actually to work with him in some of the most prestigious production at that time in person. That includes Rahimah Rahim, Sudirman Haji Arshad, Tracy Huang, and so on, and some of the Taiwanese artists and so on. Okay, we were friends before I went to Berkeley. Then when we came back and so on, we become professional friends. We may not agree eye to eye in terms of music and so on, but there are certain thoughts and so on. Because I think you need someone different in thinking in your thoughts to get a good product. Okay, it may not actually more or less look in the same way that you think, you thought, and so on. But it's okay, fine. Okay, that's why Iskandar came in, and then worked with him in the biggest productions of probably the last 40 years, Symphony La Opera, in the year 2002, if I'm not mistaken, with a very big orchestration, 66 piece. It came from Istana Budaya, Malaysia. And mind you, we are short of budget. We were not short of ideas. We have to find a way of how actually to produce the program, because I spoke to the then producer, Madam Sabarar Milan and Amaruddin Abbas. If you're not going to do this, we're not going to do this forever. So that program has always have a very big imprint on my memories. Okay, Iskandar helps a lot. Okay, what I did is very simple. Okay, some of the song actually I sang over it over the phone, and how it's going to be.
You
yes,
you
yes,
sang
okay.
it.
This is okay.
Why do you need to?
And at that time, you know, we had the black and white films. The year was 2002. The last of the black and white film from K.T. Chris and Overshaw Brothers, I think was around 1970s and so on. It's still fresh in the memory and so on. So we were looking actually for a theme song. Okay. Then we have this song actually from Sultan Mahmud Mangkat Dijulang. Okay, beautiful song. Okay, not knowing that actually it's taken from Nina Bobo. Nina Bobo was sung, if I'm not mistaken, by Aniki Gronlo. Nina Bobo. But it was more or less moved on to Sultan Mahmud Mangkat as part of the Malay culture. I think this is good. Then Iskandar called me, hey, brother, this one is from Nina Bobo. I said, I really don't care where it comes from. But I think he has a very simple chords. Okay, but when Iskandar wrote and arranged it, it was really, it basically describes the whole setting of the show, which is basically a tribute to the Malay film industries. Yeah.
Okay, so you made up music, you get your music influence your thoughts.
Yeah.
You sing obviously to the composer to get the song right. Do you play music instruments and all that? Are you into music?
I know music, but I don't play instruments. But I understand I know music. That helps. Okay. You have to know a lot, a little of everything when you're a director. Lighting, photographies, costumes, lights and colors and so on. So music has always been part of me. Okay. So it's easy for me when I work with composers and arrangers, like a status of Ahmad Jaafar, example, Rufino Siano and Iskandar. Yeah.
You know, tadi you mentioned all the big stars, Almarhum Sudirman Haji Arshad, Tracy Huang, and these are big stars. These are legendary stars. How did they help you to make a good show?
Okay. I'll put like this. The bigger you are, the easier it is for me to work with them. Okay, I don't know why, but you just said one of the big names was, of course, the rock star, Rod Stewart. I worked with him.
Oh,
I directed him
Rod
actually for
Stewart.
one of the concert and so on. So
When was that? Bila?
frankly, I couldn't remember the date. I think it was
Must be quite
sometime
some
in
time
the
ago.
late 1980 or early
80s
90s and so
Rod
on.
Stewart, wow.
Yeah, he was the biggest stars and so on. We spoke and so on, basically. As a director, of course, I lay down how I'm going to shoot him and so on. As a performer, he said, okay, could you not shoot me on this angle and so on. We always have a lot of respect for each other, okay? Because we try to maximize the look of the person on camera. It's what the camera sees, it's not what on you. And the lens can be very, very horrific.
No, itu yang saya macam sometimes saya rasa macam okay, you working with big stars like Rod Stewart and all that, mesti diorang ada their own demands. Like tadi you katakan don't shoot me from this angle dan sebagainya. So how do you manage benda-benda macam tu?
I think it's
you
fine.
Give in, do you?
It shouldn't be any problem at all because I think it's also to enhance their personality. Okay, me, you, and the rest of us may not look good at certain angles. Okay,
we have our best angles lah kan.
Of course, of course. So I say, okay, hey, would you mind not taking me a close up from these angles and so on? It's fine, it's fine. But they are very, very professional in their attitude, the work. I also directed Nana Maskuri, the Greek singers, and so on. Tracy Huang, those big stars and
big
so on.
Stars.
Yeah, but there's always a kind of respect. Me being a director and they being an artist, we came basically to I'm going to do this and so on. Okay.
How do you handle difficult artists?
I'll put it this way. Especially for drama, okay, it's meant to be enjoyable. The artists performing need to enjoy themselves. The director also need these shouting cultures and so on. Sometimes you read about I want this, I want that. It's not applicable to me because I think set is a place where creative people come together. Behind the camera as well as in front and the camera to give certain products and they need to enjoy. And I'm not a keen believer of having 17 takes, 16 takes and so on. I call this momentum. Let's say when I'm directing dramas and so on, okay, it's up to you as a director basically to decide because every take will have its problem. The first take will have a lighting problem. The second take will have a costume problem. The third take will have a sound problem. Fourth take, artist not performing and so on. Okay. So whether you have take 2 or take 17, you have to decide. Okay. I'm not a man who will take 15 takes, 17 takes. If I find that the take 3 is good enough, I'll be convinced, I'll move on. One of the good things is that if you go on lesser takes and so on, there's always this momentum of artists wanting to go to the next take and so on. It will be very emotionally exhausted for artists to come in with 17 takes. Unless, of course, that's very, very, very crucial to the script and to the pictures and so on. And the decisions of having to take 2 or take 17 is up to you. Do you realize that some directors come back actually after taking 17 takes, they will take 2. So this has to do with the confidence level of the director. I'm into the Clint Eastwood thinking, and Clint has won 2 Academy Awards, $1 Million Baby, as well as Unforgiven. Okay. And he said, okay.
Explain to us what is Clint Eastwood when you're thinking.
The thinking is that I'm given a budget. I'm giving the 50 million, okay, but I'm not going to spend that 50 million. Sometimes he spent 45 million, okay, because there's no necessity to spend 50 million. And I'm going to the shoot. I'm very well prepared. I'm very well prepared when I go to shoots and so on. I prepared about 110%, but this is basically the rethinking. On sites, I will manage to change about 30%, but I must have basically the master shots of that 110%. For the simple reason is this: when you and me are reading the script in a room and so on, it's four walls. I cannot get the spirit of the settings, where the lampposts are, where the cars are, and on site, I will look and say, hey, I think this script doesn't work here. Okay, I will make changes. I'll make changes on Bunga Tanjung and so on. The reason is this: some people think that there's no respect actually for the scriptwriter. In fact, it's the contrary, because the setting requires a very different line of scripting. I will make the changes, but not much, man. Those little things that make it, I think, will push the program into the new level. Okay.
I see.
So those ideas, sometimes a script cannot be changed and so on. It's a little bit passé, I don't subscribe to that, Okay. When we finished Bunga Tanjung, okay, Hamid Ismail was writing it. He's very experienced. Okay. Then I saw the point. That I did a lot of research on Bunga Tanjung just to feel what Bunga Tanjung is all about. I didn't grow. Actually, I didn't even feel Bunga Tanjung, but I heard Bunga Tanjung. Okay, I was born in 1942. Bunga Tanjung was there maybe 1957. At a young age, you don't go to Bunga Tanjung. Okay.
Kalau you pergi pun, I nak kena tanya tu.
This is I was. So we ran through hundreds of photographs and so on. I said, this Bunga Tanjung cannot be translated into television as a mini-series because it doesn't look nice. Okay. But when Bunga Tanjung was transformed basically into a television film setting, it looks nice. Okay. This is where I think it's important to understand the symbolic message rather than the true things. Okay. Because in real life, I like to see you in nice clothes. I like to see you in blenders and so on. I think that's life.
Yeah.
That's life also. So the moment you understand the symbolic message of a program, then you are actually in the correct path. Okay.
Yeah.
This is where realism and reality come in. Reality is what I saw, what I see. That's real. But realism is what I feel that the program should have. Okay. And as a director and so on, I'm basically to the realm of realism. I think this is, so I'm giving life and spirits to the films or the materials that I made. And I was very lucky to have Azroy Sultan as a director. At that point, I couldn't direct because I think I'm more involved in conceptualizing the set pieces. Okay. So when the script was done and so on, so I told Hamid, where are basically the commercial values? Okay. Okay. So we have the fight, we have the gang fights at the very beginning. Okay. So our research shows that the gangsters, the mobs, they fought with steel bar, wood and bottles. Okay. This is our research. I said, revolver, no. I think we should have the revolver. Okay, but it's not true. I said, I'm not going through to the facts. I'm making a symbol of. That's the reason why you saw Jeff Katz holding a revolver. Okay. But does it affect a story? In fact, it enhanced the story. Actually, nobody realized that wasn't a fact. It was a fiction that was created in my mind. And I said, it will basically enhance my storytelling.
Bila saya melihat, when I see that you are describing your job as a director, saya melihat antara anda menerbitkan dan mengarah, I can see you are more passionate about directing.
Yes.
Is that true?
Yes, it is. I've been executive producer, okay, associate producer, director, and so on. But directing is a special case of its own because it's the last part of the translation of the script and concept into visions. Okay, I'm aware that some scriptwriter and screenwriters, they don't want to produce, they don't want to direct, because I think they are quite comfortable in writing and get some director actually to envision their visions. Okay. And I believe that directors should actually co-write with writers. Maybe I have the advantage. When I saw a particular, basically, scene and so on, I saw the vision first. The script is always coming up later. So so when we finish, Hamid finished writing and so on, there was draft and redraft and so on. I said, mate, I need the set pieces. The set pieces are the one that going to enhance, It's like a flower decorations. Okay. It's like also a costume. When you have everything in red, you need basically some breakage of colors. That's called set pieces and so on. So there was a fighting scene. What's the background? I think I need rain. Don't forget. Yes.
Tak ada hujan, we make hujan.
I need rain. I need rain because I call it very Shakespearean, the Macbeth effect. You say study and so on. Heavens are not happy with the way things are conducted. So it's a tough job. We filmed the rain scene from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. the next day.
Oh,
okay. And we were using basically the fire brigades from Perak and so on. And the irony is that when we have the rain, when we have the artificial rain, we have the actual rain coming in. We are happy with it. Okay. Those are little significant points, the imagery of the program and so on that we're trying to produce. And that's the reason why, as a director, you need actually to look basically the underlying theme, characterization and so on. And that's make the job always so fun. Being a director is a full-time job. You cannot go into a set at 9 a.m. Okay, finish at 11 and forget about it. Even in your sleep, you try to think of the vision. I think you were there, you understood it. And then you say, hey, I would have shot this way rather than that. I think the lighting would have done. But it's basically a decision that is governed basically by a creativity and basically your budget. You cannot overrun the shoots and so on.
Directing is macam, even when you're showering, driving, you are always thinking of the shot kan. Now, I rasa macam one of your ucapan ni yang menarik sangat bagi saya, which you credit your family. And in your credit to your family ni, you gunakan 3 perkataan. So seperti yang saya katakan, saya nak dissect dia punya ucapan ni, kerana ucapan orang-orang macam Encik Suhaimi ni kita mesti tahu kenapa.
Thank you.
Okay, so you gunakan 3 perkataan untuk your family. Okay, you katakan 40 tahun pengorbanan, pengampunan, forgiveness kan, betul?
Yes.
Dan 40 tahun toleransi. Saya faham benda ni. Kerana apa kita dalam industri ni. Tapi boleh terangkan kepada orang lain kenapa you sebutkan pengorbanan, toleransi, pengampunan dan toleransi.
Okay. When you look at the last 40 years, you don't know exactly to smile, to laugh, or to what? I don't know. You know what I mean? It's like this. Sometimes when you do a major productions like Bunga Tanjung, okay, it's a very long shoots. We can start about 9 a.m. in the morning and finish at 1 a.m. 16 hours of shoots and so on. Then we start again the next day at 9 a.m. and so on. In a sense, there's no time for family. So when you are into the project for 1 month, you are basically immersed in the project for 1 month, okay? And I think it's it's important for you as directors and artists actually to differentiate. When you are into character, you do the project, okay? After 1 a.m., when you are out of character, you must not actually continue with it. You must know your limits. In other words, you are in certain compartments. I'm an actor and I'm a family man. But sometimes it's easier said than done, because you will continue thinking. Sometimes you promise your family, okay, I'll come back at 8 a.m. You can have 8 p.m. We have dinner. You finish at 3 a.m. Technical fault, you know what I mean? Actors not doing their line properly, okay, etc., etc. Okay, there's a lot of 1001 thing that the weather. Okay, those are the things. Okay. So you can promise in the hope that you can fulfill the promise of having that dinner at 8 p.m. that you finish at 3 a.m. You say, I'm sorry, I'm still in the set. Okay. Those will continue for another 1 month and so on. So you have to manage. As I said, it's easier said than done because it's not a job where you finish at 5 o'clock. Okay, the next day I'm coming back to work at 9 a.m.
Tough. Saya rasa production ni bila you cakap pasal toleransi tu, memang our family dah tolerate kita our kind of work.
It is. Yes.
I'm very sure it's not easy for them.
Yeah.
So how do you bagaimana anda membuat mereka memahami?
Well, sometimes in my early days, I invited them to the sets.
Oh, okay.
And you know the takes. In the early days, we don't have the editing facilities that are today.
Yeah.
In other words, you get to get the shot the first time correct, but not you have to repeat.
Yeah.
Okay. I remember shooting Star Wars, the dance. Okay.
Oh, okay.
It was Sudirman Haji Arshad. We shot it, I think about 11 p.m. Okay. And then my instruction to the dancers, I think if you're not going to drop, we're going to shoot. And the irony is that one of them actually jatuh, cut set. Okay, that's enough. Then we had to edit 2 takes and so forth. You have to know basically the limit of your artists, what they can do and what they cannot do. And this, I think, through years of experience, you can probably tell them, okay, this is a limitation of the artist. This is what, as a director, I can do and I cannot do. Yeah. Okay. But coming back actually to the families and so on, in my early days, I invited them, come, look at it, and they know.
Umur berapa tu?
It's very early. Very early. When I came in at 75 and so on, one of my children, okay, even my wife, come to the set, take a look. Okay. This is how we work. Okay.
I see. And you ada 2 orang anak,
Yes.
Lelaki dan 1 perempuan.
Yeah.
Are they in media? Are they in broadcasting? Ataupun are they doing completely different?
They are doing completely different things. My philosophy is this: I think people should do what they like and what they love. Okay. I studied economics and history. I went into broadcasting. Okay, because I thought this is the area where I'm going to excel. It's not just doing a good job, it's a matter of doing a great job out of it. Okay. And I would probably make a bad architect. The bridge would have collapsed and so on. But this is I can actually portray a collapsed bridge.
You can shoot it in many angles.
But I foresee that I think that directors are wired differently in their mind. Okay, they don't see things as it is, as face value. They look at the underlying value. They look basically at the imageries and so on. Okay, they would have probably 7 ways of actually looking at things very differently. Okay, and that's a nice thing about the job. You know what I mean? Yeah. You are looking at it in a very different perspective as a director. Because sometimes I think the more audience knows about the mechanics of filmmaking, they're not going to enjoy the show.
Yeah, the process. I mean, process is quite detailed. Saya rasa you akan enjoy the final product lah.
Yeah.
You know, but you may not necessarily enjoy but I think you enjoy your job. That's why you lasted 40 years.
45.
45, including the freelance
punya
moment tu kan. As customary lah tu podcast Diari Ayah ni, kita semua nak belajar tentang your fatherhood journey with your children lah. Jadi bagaimana ayah yang macam mana Encik Suhaimi kepada anak-anak?
Okay, as I said earlier, I think you leave it to them to decide their future. You can only encourage so much. Okay, I have a daughter, I have a son. My daughter got a master's in fashion branding and design from Florence.
Fashion branding, okay.
My son is working in a private firm at the moment, and so on. And I think the first thing to inculcate to them is basically values. And what better values than religion? it is the basis of everything. Okay, it incorporates family values, the way we treat one another. Okay, relationship with siblings, relationship with father, mothers, and so on. Those basically incorporates almost everything. Once you have that in place, the rest is easy. Okay, that's all my work. Sometimes they like it, sometimes they last week not so nice. Okay, I think that they are the biggest critics and so on.
Okay.
But I always try to do my best, because I think it's imperative that you do the best for the community. Okay. So more or less, they have different perspective. Okay, and I saw them. Okay, encourage them. All right, to be the best of what they want to do, of which basically academics road they want to pursue and so on. And I'm happy for them. Okay, at the end of the whole journey, it's not about the dollars and cents. It's how happy you are. Keberkatan, kerahmatan, and so on. I'm not going to be as rich as Bill Gates, but I'm happy. Okay. So those are the things, the values that you have tried to inculcate with your children and so on. And the reason why I'll thank only my cucus, so that orang lain tak kecil hati. Why I'm not mentioned? Cucu are very neutral.
You ada berapa cucu? Dua cucu. So you mention their names tu lah.
Yes.
Tanya tu. Okay. So neutral. So jadi tak ada orang complain.
Yes. I'm very concerned about this. Okay. Hey, how come my name is not being mentioned? Okay. Cucu, neutral.
Okay. Dah ada cucu.
But it also has significance in the sense that, as I say, our products, our work is not going to be judged by present generation. 20 years from now, this cucu will judge. Okay, there's a very significant message to that. Okay.
Okay.
I prepared the speech. It took me 3 days. Because writing short is difficult. Writing long, no problem. 1.5 hours. But writing short for actually 7 minutes. Okay, when I time myself
6-7 lah gitu.
Yes, when I time myself was 3 minutes, it goes 7 minutes. The pause and so on.
The delivery kan. Yeah. Because I nampak you pun ad-lib sikit and before you start tu. Dan okay, how I always wanted to know this. How are you growing up? Your growing up years. Macam I know you sekarang saya dah tahu you freelance in radio.
TV.
TV.
Yes.
Sebelum tu. Tapi how about your younger days? How did they tell us a bit about your younger days and how it has impacted your principles today?
Okay, I would put things like this. Actually, our job sometimes governs our values. We're doing a job and then it more or less impact the way we think and so on. But the moment actually you go back basically to the concept of the principle of religion, being Muslims and so on, you try as much as possible to do that. You are in safe territory. Okay. Let me recall the golden periods of televisions. If I'm not mistaken, it's around late 80s to the late 90s.
Yes.
They were the golden years of television. You have, for example, in Hong Kong, Men in the Net, Chameleon, Chow Yun-fat, Carol Ching, and so on. We have in Singapore the Awakening and so on. And for Malays, the drama came in late. The Anak Metropolitan slightly on the 90s and so on. We have good scripts, okay? And the thing is this, it wasn't also the internet period and so on, okay? People came back from home and to see Selagi Ada Kasih because we don't have Me Watch. Okay, you don't have basically those things, system and so on that you could recall and so on, okay? Early days was tough when I came in 75 because you're trying basically to establish yourself as a producer director. So 75, 85, tough days, tough period of time. After 1990 and so on, when I came back from US, I set up system, okay? Basically is production management, the other one is creative management, okay? So those are two different areas that we're going to see. Because you can be a good producer, but somehow or other you cannot be a good director. But in the early days, it follows when you are a good producer, automatically you want to direct. Okay, but as the industries grows and so on, the distinct division of function is very, very clear. Okay, so we work with more people. In the early days, we work only maybe I become almost everything, you know, producer, director, script writer, look at the music, and on 7 basically function that I'm doing. But in the modern setting, we have 7 different people doing it, okay? So it makes the job of the director, last part, is much easier. And you could concentrate on better things. You could look at the details and so on. I studied in the university up to 1974, because 75 I came in, and so on. I have friends who are there now. We're still meeting, okay? For example, the ex-CEO of Mendaki, Mr. Sumadi Ali, they were still good friends, and so on. We maintain the friends. So friends are basically more or less that determine, I mean, good friends, good values, and so on. They influence you a lot, okay? I'm not saying that I don't have, okay, I have friends basically in the industry, but I also have friends outside the industry, okay, that make more or less your life, your values are very balanced in that sense. Because some people think that is Hollywood, Bollywood, Hollywood. In the true sense, it is not. Okay, if you look at the recent biography of Sharon Stone, for example, you look at the different parts of Hollywood entirely. Okay, you don't have to believe everything, but I think more or less, hey, is a mirror of the industries. Yeah. Okay. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. You know, I want to jog your memory sikit. Because I think saya pernah travel dengan you to Indonesia.
Okay.
That was with MDA. You ingat tak?
Okay. Yes.
We went, kita pergi Indonesia untuk saya rasa untuk berkolaborasi dengan diorang punya
Indonesian station.
Yes. And you don't know this, tetapi that was at one of my lowest point. You didn't know, of course I didn't tell anyone lah. I didn't tell you juga kan.
Okay.
But what you I nak cakap terima kasih dengan you pasal apa, you actually boost my semangat.
Thank you.
So I remember after one meeting, I think it was Indonesia. We met Indonesia. We met couple of cable station, and we went into a car together. I think kita masuk dalam kereta kijang ni. And then I bilang dengan you yang I'm having some problems with getting projects, and I asked you I asked you for advice at that time, and you said something yang naikkan semangat I. So I don't know whether you remember that, tapi you bilang I, Sujimi, kalau I nak buat documentary, you are my go-to person. You said that, and that changed my mindset though. Then I said, hey, no, the problem is now me. I need to come up with good concept.
Yes.
You know, so after that we came up with a lot of good concept. We came up with docudrama, we came up with infotainment shows macam 647 dan sebagainya. So thank you for that lah. You know, I'm very sure ramai orang yang minta nasihat dengan you lah. You know, your anak didikan, your pelakon-pelakon dan sebagainya. How do you guide them?
I think that's very interesting, and where money actually cannot buy. Okay, because I say money is not everything. It's probably something which I want to forget. You know. Okay, when my last day in Mediacorp. Okay, people came to me. People who I've worked with in the Chinese section, in the Indian section, Malay and so on, and they came up with a very nice line. Mr. Suhaimi, one of the Chinese drama producer, came to me. You said this to me. You have forgotten, but I have not forgotten. Okay, I can't remember the line, but it was so wonderful to receive. You told me this, you know. It's the same thing that I've spoken to you and these drama directors actually, and there are few people who actually I've worked with, Jacinta, Digley, and so on, who became good friends. Okay, from the concepts and so on, you know, Even, hey, you see, you need someone actually comfortable to work on, to work with. Okay. Example, when you had been working with the same lighting directors, set designers, and so on, you would want to look at a few projects. Because if you change these people on midstream and so on, it's going to disturb the way of thinking and so on. Okay. Then I refer to clean his work. He always worked with the same, basically, DOP. Okay. And he has reason, and it's a valid reason, because even before I finish the sentence, they know what is the problem. And this, I have the advantage of working with that, with cameramen and so on, boom operators. Hey, I think we have a problem. Yeah, we'll fix it. I don't even have to say what are the problems. Okay, those are basically the advantage of working with the same people and so on. I'm not saying that you should basically prevent people from coming in. If they are good, fine, and so on. But it takes time actually to gel with working with creative people. Okay, and they have basically their idiosyncrasies, and you must understand that. I have.
What are your idiosyncrasies? Maybe orang yang kat luar nak tahu.
I think basically if people come to set unprepared.
Oh, okay. You don't like that?
Yeah. If you don't know your script, if you don't know your script, okay. If you don't know what is going on and so on, I'm basically a director is basically like a storyteller. We tell stories, but we need people to support us. Okay, example, I want to have this scene, a romantic scene and so on. I'm not going to tell basically the DOP what lamp to use. I know, but I'm not going to do his job. I'm going to give him basically the flexibility of lighting up for me and so on. And sometimes it can be better than what you think and so on. Then I don't normally actually sit behind the editor, you know, when he's editing, because I think it's very stressful to the editor. I'll give him basically the landscapes and so on. Okay, this is what you want to do. You edit. I'll come back later, 3-4 hours. I'll take a look and so on. In fact, they will give you a better job. Okay, rather than you actually behind them breaking their necks. No, that is not on for me. Okay, you give basically a landscape. They come with a paint and paint the landscape for you. Yeah. Okay. That's I think about the nearest what I call imageries that I can think of. Yep.
So you retire tahun 2017?
I think around that.
Around
17, 18. But I was doing freelance, doing with a production house. And in fact, I just finished one, Lintas Pintas, with silver screen. Okay. Probably one of the biggest game shows. Biggest set, longest set ever. Okay. And I'm happy. Wow. Okay. I'm not basically an admirer of game shows because I'm used to doing drama and entertainment specials. But I enjoyed this one. I really truly enjoyed Lintas Pintas. Yeah.
Your last post dekat Mediacorp was senior vice president.
Yes.
Of the Malay channel kan?
As well as Surya, as well as Eagle Vision.
Eagle Vision kan? So sekarang you are also a consultant kan?
Yes.
In the Mediacorp studios kan?
Depend on projects. Okay.
What do you do actually dengan do you give them concept ke?
This is very interesting because lately I've been doing Tamil productions.
Tamil production.
Yeah. Okay. It's so funny. People came to me. Okay, I've done maybe 3 Deepavali. I've done 2 drama, Uyire, as well as Arivan. Okay, they are in the final of the Perdana visa.
Okay. Perdana visa is the Tamil version of Pesta
Perdana. Okay, 2 of the drama in Deepavali in and so on, and coming basically from a non. I say it's quite interesting. I think the whole thing about making a film or making a television is not about whether you know the language or not. It's immaterial. It's the thinking. Okay. The joke was that, so you're working on Tamil drama. Do you know the language? I said, frankly, I don't know the language, but I do know how to tell a story. In fact, for this latest ATM, they call it Bold and Beautiful. It's now being telecast Monday to Thursday. I was responsible for doing the soundtracks for them. The theme soundtrack, working with Shabir and so on. And the advantage is that because I watch a lot of non-Malay, non-English, I'm watching now a lot of Malayalam, Telugu, and so on. Anything which is good, I will watch. So language is no barrier.
What do you watch for?
I basically look at storylines, scripts. Okay, and I must say that the Malayalam, okay, good storyteller. Even as a producer, as a director, sometimes, you are tricked into the ending. Hey, I thought the ending is this. Okay. Anyway, don't go to the 2 hour 15 to find the ending. Just watch from the very beginning and so on. And they are good script writers, group screenwriters and so on, and you learn from them. Okay. And the process of not learning is not going to stop, even at this age. If you remember, Ridley Scott is about 90 plus, Eastwood 90 plus. Okay. And they actually learn from real life in order to tell a story. Okay. Of course, it's very different when you are 25 and you are 75. The way you're going to direct, interpret things are very different because you have the whole life of educations, meeting people and so on to decide what is going to be the picture that you're going to hold.
We both know that the glory days of television is impacted by social media.
Yes.
Saya rasa zaman kegemilangan televisyen tidak seperti dululah. Apa pandangan Encik Suhaimi untuk kembalikan zaman ini, atau boleh ke tidak, atau itu dah saya rasa dah tak boleh lagi?
I always feel that the past is not for you to forget, it's for you to remember, untuk kenangan. Then I think if you have done that and so on, you have reached a fuller life. It's a very good question, because maybe future historians of popular culture will not agree with me. But when I saw basically the stage of popular culture, I can only see three. Okay. All right. I will more or less refine it later. First is basically the black and white films of Shaw Brothers. Okay. You can basically look at Malay psyche in that sense, how they live, how they aspire to be, and so on. The second part is pop 60-an. Okay. The Beatles came, we have our band groups, we have basically the Rhythm Boys and the Siglap Five. Okay. Of course, we have all other bands, but they are the representative. They are the Rolling Stone and the Beatles of Singapore. And then the last part of us, I think, is Mediacorp, starting in 1963-65 up to the present day. Okay, I'm not saying that along the way you have basically like rock kapa, okay, other music coming in, okay, but the impact in terms of the most impactful to the Malay society, I think these three periods and so on. In between, you have basically the Ramli Sarip, the Hanafi Warrens. They will be remembered for different things. Okay. But when you speak to the Malays and so on, these are the three areas and so on. As I say, future historians of popular culture may not agree with this, but it's a food for thoughts. It's a food for thoughts. Okay. So you look at it. It's difficult, We have, for example, I was doing national service, I was doing police part-time, okay, I was roaming the streets and so on, and I can understand when you have those films on air, Chameleon, Man in the Net, the streets, basically, nobody, everyone in the TV set at home is quiet, it's very quiet, okay. It's very different because now it's immediate consumption. I can watch through my phone, I can watch through MeWatch, I can go to Amazon, I can go to Netflix and so on. In fact, you can decide, okay, in the 2-hour films and so on, I'm going to see this for 1 hour, then after Maghrib, I'm going to continue another 1 hour and so on. So basically, the consumptions of this popular culture, this product have changed. To get basically the feel of the old days is going to be impossible. Okay, it's not possible, I think. different thinkings, okay, and the new viewers and so on, they are different kind of viewers. You look at it, I still have my system, I still have my sound system, okay, at home, because I refuse to listen actually from the handphone, because it's different feel in terms of, I want to be in a concert hall.
You want that surround sound.
Yes, okay. You look, it's a different things, you know. At work, I will do pop rock, okay. I will do rock kapa. I will do basically popular song and so on. But on my own, my consumption is a different kind of music. I will listen to the London Symphony Orchestra, Amsterdam Symphony Orchestra, New York Philharmonic, and so on. If you give you certain soothing minds and so on. The reason is this, why I listen to a lot instrumental, because I can fill in with the visuals. When I have lyrics on it, is that I love you, you love me, that's fine. What can I put in? But that gives me an ideas of the inspiration actually to look at, here, look, I'm going to fill in the visuals and so on. That gives you a good training ground and so on. And band like Deep Purple, hard rock, heavy metal and so on, they are very trained classicists. They play classic, but they perform actually for rocks and so on because of bread and butter. It's fine. Okay. So what I'm listening to music at home is very different from what I'm doing at work and so on. But the nice thing is that it helps me the way I think. So when you actually arrange your music and some of your composers, it has a feel of the classics, but you won't notice it. It's because the feel of the classic is there. Okay. What I call dalam hard rock ada kelembutannya.
Okay, saya faham. Thanks for letting us into your head, because now I understand how you think. Tapi saya nak tanya tentang the new creator, content creator hari ini. I'm sure you have seen, you dah tengok banyak content on social media dan sebagainya. As someone who have gone through 45 years of content creation, what do you have any advice for new content creators? What must they think of next, ataupun what should they have still, you know, in them to produce content? Okay,
I think it's a very good question. There are two parts of production actually. One is the technical parts. You have to know your camera, you have to know your light, you have to know your lenses, you have to know your costume, you got to be very good at your color to make into whole production. That's technical. The other side is making the creative contents, artists, castings and so on. You know, those are basically the creative, and the way the directors, producers interpret the shows. The same script can be given to two directors and you have different results. Okay. I always tell myself nothing like starting a good script, okay? Because you cannot have special effects, etc., car crash, building burnings and so on to cover a bad script, okay? Those are basically accessories to tell a good story and never part of the whole thing. As I say, good script is the most important thing. So I think we need good script writers and so on. Directors and producers need to know the technical part, no excuse, okay? But this part of it, the creative part of it, the feel, the spirits, the capturing of the essentials and so on, there's something you need to see other people's work. I've been watching and looking at other people's work, okay, and see. And even the younger ones sometimes say, hey, how do you do that? When I was executive producer for a Tamil program and so on, there's something that my directors did. Hey, how do you do that? We learn. You're being the executive producer doesn't mean you know everything, okay? You may know basically the broad concept, but there's the detail. How do you do such a thing, sir? Let me know, okay? And one of the greatest influence I have was this director called Sergio Leone. He's an Italian. And one of the greatest composers that I always admire was Ennio Morricone, okay? They came from the same school. They grew up together and produced this what do you call this stylish western called For a Few Dollars More, okay, It was produced in 1964, 1965. It became more or less like a springboard. They introduced the concept of anti-hero to the program. But in television, you must have basically a clear-cut philosophy and morality. Okay, if you steal basically 1 million at episode 1, I'm going to put you into jail at episode 13. There's no two way. You're not going to ride in the sunset with those money. But in film, you can. Okay, so those are the things. So I think for producing for television and producing for motion picture are two different things entirely. But let's talk about television. You need basically a clear-cut decision. I'm going to have this, but the end of it. It's always two things when I produce drama. It's always what is the beginning, what is the end. The middle part of it, I can always, the story A, story B, story C, whatever is it, I can always feel out. But I need to know what's the ending and what's the beginning. And it has to have certain sense of morality, because there's a lot of mass consumption out there, the families, the children, and so on. To the young, basically those who want to come in for film and television, this is my advice. First and foremost, I think you got to tahan, basically. You got to have certain kind of perseverance to be in the industry. You will learn actually as you move along, and that takes time. You can't be a director, good director, within 5 years, 10 years at least. Okay, you can see things, you see the layering of meanings and so on. As you grow older, and you become very good. So, if you're basically thinking of other things and so on, this is not an area for you to indulge in, because it takes time. It takes time. I'm not saying that a 25-old director is not going to do a work as good as a 65. I'm not saying that. But generally, you need everyday life and everyday basically things for you to understand to become a good director. Okay, and hard work. Despite of what I know, okay, I could probably go into the set, okay, and just wing it. Okay, I still write everything that comes to my mind, because if I don't write, I will forget. That little things, that incidental shot when two people are walking, and then child throw the ball and down. I need to write it, because if not, I will forget it entirely. Those incidental shots are basically that makes the what you call this picture so interesting, and this actually comes with talent. In Bunga Tanjung, when Farhana was walking into the shot, we have a little bit of breeze of if you saw it, the leaves and so on blowing. And what's the last say? Hey, I think I saw that. Because it enhances the way the story
and
is being told.
And that is purposely done, kan? Because orang mungkin tak perasan.
Yes. So, basically, the difference between a good director and a great director is in the details. Okay, it was said that the devil is in the details. So it's like this. Okay, when I was doing Bunga Tanjung, I had the music actually done first.
Oh, okay.
I went to Amri. Look, I was telling the Amri the whole story in half an hour. This is how the story is going to be evolved, and so on and so on. Because I have a problem there. When Farhana actually reminisce about Bunga Tanjung, about the past and so on, I think I have a problem, Azra has a problem of directing it, to get the best of it. So it was a set, it was the steps, it was all the photograph of Bunga Tanjung, the cobweb and so on. He was walking, she was walking actually to the steps, the staircase and so on. We have our, basically our jeeps, we have our boom and so on. Okay. Then I went in there, you guys, Farhana, listen to the music. She listened to music, wow, very touching. It's almost like the tears are going to drop and so on. You know, so I get the best of them by not directing them. So listen to the music. Okay. And it was good. I was working in Amri. He's good at strings, okay, cellos and so forth. Okay, okay, this is how I feel. I hope you envision my visions. You know what I mean? So actually, he more or less tolerated me and so on. It was nice for him actually to speak about it. It was exactly what it was. Okay, okay. And this I learned actually from the directors like Sergio Leone and Morricone. Some of the scenes, the music are done first. And like MTV, the visuals are basically married to the music. Okay, yeah. 1965 and so on. Both of them are no more.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I find this approach yang you buat ni pakai music dulu.
Yeah.
I mean, you adakan music dulu and then you visualize what's the feel of the music is something that a lot of even newcomers, including myself and all that, kita pun we celebrate the music and we visualize the music. So thank you for confirming that is actually the right way to do, and I think it's very interesting. Now you've been through, you sudah menjadi seorang penolong penerbit, kemudian assistant producer, floor manager, producer, kemudian you naik sebagai executive producer, and then senior vice president of the channel. Now you are an independent consultant to the studios. What is it that you rasa macam you masih belum buat? And then you feel like, oh, I have done everything and maybe it's time for me to retire soon.
I think one of the things that I have not done is to go into film earlier. You must remember that television is a producer's media, film is a director's media.
Okay.
It's the nearest that I think you can tell a story, messages, and so on. Okay. I've gone into maybe at age 55, go into film, you know. And probably, but there's no regret, you know, because we have our mini series. But it's as not good as going into the film industry per se and so on. I will look at things like this. My advice to them: be prepared to do the hard work. You know, sometimes it's a cliche that to be in the industry you have to be creative. Of course, you have to be creative. If not, you'll be doing some other things. But is the thing that you need to know. Again, I repeat that the technicalities you have to master it. The technicality is for you actually to help you in the realization of your dreams, of your creative ideas, and so on. That's number one. Again, try to co-write with your screenplay writer as well as your script writers. Okay. The advantage is this: I see scene first, you know, then I see the words. Some people will see the words first, and then from this word I see the scenes. But I always have the advantage. I'm looking at visual. These okay. Then the words come in. That's why it's so fun to work with Hamid. Okay, some of the scene actually, when in the room, I acted it out. How the robber is going? He's going to shoot. He's going to cock the rifles, and so he look at me. Then he writes.
Okay.
So I get exactly what I want. You know what I mean? Okay. Yeah. And then those little things and so on. This only will come through experience. Okay. So when you get older, of course, you are better at 35, 45, 55 if you remain in the industry. Okay. But these are the things that you are not learning actually from film school. These come with experience.
Right.
There's always different kind of directors, different ways of looking at things. Okay, I was lucky that I have Tony Arnold, last time from the BBC, who coached me. I have Paul Ciani, also from BBC. I have Morimoto from NHK, Japan, in terms of the looks of the program and so on. I have some of them, American friends and so on. For example, like some of the DOPs and so on who came from Jim Tetlow, who lead actually for Miss Universe and some other programs and so on. They share their experience. As I say, these are the things that you are not learning from film school. Okay, it has to be real life doing it. I'm doing it and so on. I'm doing this actually for the newcomers. Okay, sometimes I spend 1 hour with them. Okay, no charge at all. Okay.
What do they ask you?
Just buy me coffee and so on. Basically about these little things, about abstractions, about imageries, and so on. As I say, two directors can look into a scene and see it very differently. But when you have very experienced directors doing it, they will look the thing as though there will be not many difference on it. Okay, they will see things in that perspective. Yeah.
You know, first time I met you is when I remembered Prime 12, we are going to be Surya. And there was this, kita nak merge, I remember. So I was at Bestway. So saya nak kena pergi duduk dekat Caldecott because I had to be near you guys. Eagle Vision kan waktu tu kan. That's when I met you first time.
Really? I've forgotten.
Yeah. First time because I was a rookie executive. I was still young and we were doing programming. Don't really know a lot of big productions, but my first meeting dengan you, because I know who you are already. I dah tahu, I dah kenal you siapa. But I always thought you are garang, no? Macam garang punya orang lah, macam I don't know you. So but in that first meeting I had with you, because we were discussing macam mana nak combine, nak operate now dengan Prime 12. We want to operate together. We are together now dengan Eagle Vision dan sebagainya. But I think you made it easy. You made it easy. Pasal apa? In the meeting you were quite casual lah. You quite casual with all of us, the programmers lah. So I just want to know, in your life, in your work life and all that, what are some of the things that you rasa macam we should be relaxed about? It's not like you say, it's not all money, it's not all work, but in your relationship dengan orang lain, how do you treat other people around you?
It's good that you ask this. Be kind to people. I refer back to the production team. You have 10 people. Sometimes the best of them is only about 6. The 4 people, you are in the team and so on, but be kind to them, teach them and so on. I don't see that out of the 10 people I can have the 10 best people. The 4 people, get the best out of them, be kind to them, be gentle to them as well as be firm to them. And these people always want to learn. If they find that they are not suitable for this type of job, they will leave. But they find they need some people actually can learn within short period, some take a longer period to understand and so on. It's so difficult. This I think in life, you need to be kind. Okay, first be kind. Second, actually be grateful to people that helps you, however little. And that's the difference why I remember all my mentor. I remember Ahmad Jafar, Iskandar, and those people actually from Paramount and Gulf and Houston who have helped me along the ways and so on. It's always nice to call them and say, hey, you have helped me, And in turn, you get people whom you have basically guided them, helped them, they will be kind to you. And that's the reason sometimes you say, they came to me, you have spoken to me this, but you have forgotten, I remember that. but it's really fine. This is something that I think money cannot buy. Be kind, be grateful, and of course, doa banyak-banyak. These 3 areas, Alhamdulillah, because you need look, I think being this is a gift of God. You can't just have one people and trying to direct a program and so on. Sometimes you have basically that upper hands and don't misuse it. Do not misuse it and so on. And that's the reason why I'm now going on. I'm going one-to-one. I don't give a lecture. I don't give, but they come to me, I'll talk to them. I'll spend some time with them, half an hour, 1 hour, guiding them personally and so on. It's okay, no problem. It's something that
nice
I would give back to society. I think I'm thankful to them. I have my admirers, but I also have my detractors, don't forget.
It's nice that you buat macam tu. I mean, they need the future generation, orang yang menjadi pelapis ni, they need to hear from you, the experienced one. Thank you so much for your time lah. I mean, I'm learning a lot from you. Now, I'm always afraid to encourage 100% my children to go into media. I have my reason. Kerana apa? It's tough. I enjoyed it though. I enjoyed my journey, and I'm sure you enjoyed your 45-year journey. But there's something about media that sometimes I worry that can my children take it? Can they take this life? You know, it's not easy, especially kalau tak ada family support, like you said. Kalau family tak tolerate our whatever we do, kan, dia agak journey tu susah. If you have one advice you want to give to someone who is already in media, in broadcasting, and that they want to have that stamina to last long as you, which is 45 years, what would that be?
Persevere and sabar.
Sabar.
Yes. As I say, you cannot actually achieve this within 5 years. 10 years, alhamdulillah. 15 years, fantastic. Okay. And in this, what you call, age of social media, I think you got to tahan criticism. Okay. Some good, some basically, they want to test you. Okay. You know what I mean? Some basically, actually, they have basically not so nice approach to that. You know what I mean? We may not actually the true reasons and so on, but persevere, sabar and so on. Because the truth will actually emerge one day. Okay. I'm lucky in the sense that some of my earlier detractors, okay, has actually come, hey, I like that and so on. Okay. And the good thing is that when Sabaria told me, okay, that we're thinking of giving the awards, I said, give me some time to think about it.
Oh, okay.
Because at a personal level, I don't think I should. But he says to me, this is about representing the industry. Okay. The objective is because, okay, if I'm basically a model to industry, I will accept it. But not as kind of a personal achievement. I accept that because the industry actually more or less, please accept it on behalf of the industry. Okay. That's very good reasons that I accept it. Okay. The awards. Yep.
Alhamdulillah. No, I'm glad you accept it, and it's also for the rest of us to learn, you know, the old ways and the new ways. And saya rasa anda dah menunjukkan bahawa kecekalan dalam bidang penyiaran ini perlu ada jika kita nak tahan lama lah. Kesabaran is so much. So important lah. Thank you so much. Terima kasih kerana bersama saya dalam Diari Ayah. Kepada penonton yang sedang menonton, sila like, kongsi, follow podcast Diari Ayah. We are in Spotify, we are also in Apple Podcasts, we are in YouTube and Facebook. You have any last words to say tak, Encik Suhaimi, before we leave our podcast?
I think one good thing, lead the way the Prophet leads his life. Okay. Alhamdulillah, you will be okay.
That's a wonderful advice. Thank you so much.
Alhamdulillah.
Thanks
Thank you,
everyone.
Jimmy, for having me.
No, it's my pleasure sebenarnya. Encik Suhaimi, thank you so much. Thanks everyone. Assalamualaikum.